For clothes that
Tristan Feller in the white.
Shout to the taxi cab to get.
Everybody stick around because
the law is a lot of things, perhaps one of humanity's finer inventions. It protects our general safety and ensures our rights as citizens against abuses by other people, organizations, and even the government itself. It is essential for maintaining order and enabling our societies to thrive. After all, it is the law that helps maintain our society and keeps us from turning into anarchic monkeys swinging feces at each other. And it is due to the law that we have seen gripping courtroom cases which have delivered unmatched drama. Perhaps it is even the highest order of drama available to the public. But for every JFK, Aaron Brockovich, OJ, and John Bobbitt, you also have these. The less enthralling and just cases that come from people I like to call vexatious litigants. Or in less pompous terms, Your Honor, annoying people who sue. Before we begin, I think it's important to first examine how not all lawsuits are equal. While anyone can be sued, it's usually the companies that have deeper pockets that are most susceptible to lawsuits. These primarily being in your F&B, pharmaceuticals, and finance industries. They all serve a product or service which can be held at fault for product liability, false advertising, and fraud. And as such, is seen by a certain few vexatious litigants as a low-hanging fruit with a possibility of a large payout. But do these ridiculous lawsuits ever succeed in court? Well, the US justice system is doing its darnest to weed out the most frivolous cases, but some still do fall between the cracks. In the majority of times when a case does happen to proceed, both parties will prefer to settle out of court in order to avoid the negative publicity. And this brings me to my first exhibit. The Weatherman, one of the more reputable choices on career day. While many think of the Weatherman as a stress-free profession where one gets to lounge around in an air-conditioned office and talk in front of a green screen all day, little do people know it is anything but stress-free. Or at least it wasn't for this Weatherman. An Israeli woman turns on the TV just before bed. Her local weatherman was just reporting tomorrow's forecast. Good weather, he says. So with that, she goes to sleep. The next day, when choosing her outfit for the day, she recalled the weatherman's forecast. Good weather, he said. And as such, she chose an outfit that would suit the hot climate that was predicted for the day. However, the weatherman was wrong.
Yeah. You know what? There's a jet stream of bullshit coming out of your mouth, my friend.
The predicted good weather was soon overtaken by dark and stormy clouds, which led to rain showers. The woman was now stuck outside in inappropriate clothes for this inclement weather, which she claimed caused her to catch the flu, missed 4 days of work, and spent $38 in medication for said flu. The plaintiff argued that, as such, he sought $1,000 in compensation for the days of missed work and the cost of the medication, all from the TV station, as well as an additional apology from this deceiver of a weatherman. Now, most courts would have thrown this case out, as meteorology isn't an exact science. You got high-pressure zones, low-pressure zones, barometers, and a whole lot of other mumbo-jumbo that I'm not qualified to talk about. But surprisingly, the TV station decided to settle this out of court. They paid for the woman's damages, and the weatherman even apologized for the false information. Well, the act of blaming your weather-related misfortune on your local weatherman isn't unheard of.
Wouldn't you like to know, weather boy?
Suing him in the TV station for $1,000 isn't the most standard reaction.
Kid's sketchy. Back to you guys.
However, most frivolous lawsuits tend to sue for much greater monetary sums, which brings me to exhibit number 2. For some, being compared to a celebrity would be a great compliment, a flattering remark which would make one's day.
Go ahead. Make my day.
To be mistaken for arguably the greatest basketball player of all time, sorry LeBron fans, might even seem fun. But not for Alan Heckard. The Portland native has said he has been mistaken for the NBA legend Michael Jordan almost every day for the past 15 years. Perhaps it was a child asking for another autograph, or more likely, a 30-something overzealous Chicagoan coming up for a picture. But something broke the proverbial camel's back.
I broke my back.
What do you mean by that?
My back is broken.
What, a vertebrae or what portion?
Spinal.
So Mr. Heckard sued the former Chicago Bull, as well as Nike co-founder Phil Knight, since he believed Nike was at fault for making Jordan a celebrity. Now you might be wondering for what total sum he was suing them. You probably think it can't be that bad. $832 million American. But Mr. Heckard would want you to know that it was reasonable, as he was only suing Jordan and Knight for $416 million each. Mr. Heckert claimed personal injury, emotional pain, and overall suffering for his reasons in the lawsuit. He was also quoted saying, "Even when I go to the gym, I'm being accused of playing ball like him," which again doesn't exactly sound like the worst problem to have. Appearance-wise, he did have 3 things going for him. He had a shaved head, a pierced left ear, and a goatee. He was apparently also wearing Jordans, but he was 6 inches shorter and 8 years older than his alleged doppelganger. When asked how he got the specific lawsuit amount, he reasoned this. Well, you figure with my age, and you multiply that times 7, and then I turn around and I figure that's what it all boils down to. Clearly someone went to the Scott Steiner School of Mathematics.
The numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster for you as sacrifice.
In the end, with such compelling case and evidence, Jordan and Nike were forced to settle out of court for a total of... I'm just messing with you. The case was over before it even started. Mr. Heckert paid a fee of $206 to file his lawsuit, but never even got a lawyer to represent him in court. As someone who knows the difficulties in being mistaken for a popular celebrity, I get where Mr. Heckert is coming from. Hell, some days I can't even leave my house without someone thinking I'm Ryan Gosling, or Brad Pitt, or Christian Bale, or Tony Soprano.
Gabagool, over here.
I can't find pussy anywhere.
Make of that what you may. But to sue someone over it? That is just ridiculous. But is it as ridiculous as our next case? Red Bull has become something of a titan of industry. It is almost impossible to not have seen the iconic logo somewhere before. Sports teams, speed race cars, extreme sports, zany sports. Red Bull's marketing has been so strong through its multitude of different sponsors that they're literally everywhere. And if you've been living in a cave and haven't got a clue what I'm talking about, chances are you could still find an old Red Bull Mini parked within a 3-kilometer radius of you right now. Look, all I'm saying is that the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile walked, so the Red Bull Mini could run. But with its Don Draper-esque marketing, the energy drink has become synonymous with its slogan, Red Bull. It gives you wings. Or, as millions of people have understood it for years, metaphorical wings, not the physical ones. Okay, so I might have misled you on this one. Benjamin Carruthers knew he wasn't going to get actual wings, as he was a dedicated Red Bull drinker since 2002. However, he came to believe that the so-called energy drink wasn't delivering too much in the promised energy. So he filed a lawsuit on behalf of all Red Bull drinkers. He argued that Red Bull's prodigious advertising, marketing, and promotional spending has been used to mislead customers into believing that Red Bull is a superior product worthy of a premium price and has the ability to give you wings, aka provide energy and vitality. While Red Bull contains various ingredients that the company claims are stimulants, the primary active ingredient is caffeine, and a 250 milliliter can contains around 80 milligrams of caffeine, which is almost half of what a 200 milliliter cup of coffee contains. In the end, Red Bull settled out of court to avoid the negative press and the high cost of litigation in the US. They ended up paying over $13 million in compensations. The settlements included a cash payout of up to $10 to anyone who has purchased a Red Bull product in the last decade, or instead of cash, recipients could choose their payout in 2 Red Bull products worth up to $15. While this case turned out more serious as the previous ones, you can't help but blame the press, as the headlines at the time were pretty eye-catching, with multiple publishers claiming Red Bull sued over not giving you actual wings.
You are fake news. Sir, go ahead.
Okay, I kind of feel bad about misleading you guys, so here's a funnier case. Surprisingly involving wings again. Just for you. Pro bono. Buffalo Wild Wings. Cheap beer, good food, and all the sports channels one can stomach. It's Bill Burr's go-to SNL sketch location, and the defendant in this next case. A Chicago man who ordered a plate of boneless wings was surprised to learn that the boneless option of Buffalo Wild Wings is not made of actual chicken wings. It's just chicken breast. A nugget, if you will. Or as the plaintiff put it, the products are not wings at all, but instead slices of chicken breast meat deep fried like wings. Indeed, the products are more akin in composition to a chicken nugget rather than a chicken wing. While this is all very eloquently put, I can't help but get middle school science fair vibes from this. Or when you ran out of ideas but you still gotta meet the word count of an essay. The lawsuit was filed on behalf of the potentially thousands of other affected patrons of Buffalo Wild Wings who may have fallen a victim to this heinous false advertisement. When Buffalo Wild Wings was asked to comment on the lawsuit, the restaurant chain sent out a link to their recent tweet.
It's true. Our boneless wings are all white meat chicken. Our hamburgers contain no ham. Our buffalo wings are 0% buffalo.
As you're probably guessing, in the end nothing really came of this, as a federal judge dismissed the lawsuit before it even appeared in court. Now, this brings me to my final and closing exhibit. Long before we had the Snyder Cut of Batman v Superman, The Dark Knight had an even greater enemy, the country of Turkey, or more specifically the city of Batman. Quick geography lesson for you. Batman is a city near the Batman River and capital of Batman District in the Batman province of Turkey.
Holy headache!
For most of its history, this city was known as Ilu, a quaint little village till the discovery of oil in the nearby area in the 1940s led to a huge influx of people. And so, in 1957, Ilu was renamed Batman, after the nearby Batman River, which is presumed to have gotten its name from the Turkish and Persian unit of measurement Batman, which is the equivalent of 16.96 pounds. Or it's also theorized it's named after the nearby mountain, Bati Rahman, and Batman is simply just a shortened version of that. Anyways, Ilu was now known as Batman. The Batman you're more familiar with was created by Bob Kane and Bill Finger, and debuted in the Detective Comics issue number 27 in 1939. So right away, this lawsuit didn't have standings in the most firm of grounds. But that didn't stop Batman's mayor, Hussein Kalkan. When a journalist asked Mr. Kalkan in 2007 why he didn't take legal actions against the quote-unquote movie Batman, a new villain in the Caped Crusaders Rogues Gallery was born. And just as fate would have it, the stars aligned in 2008. As guess what film was being released? Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight. At the time, the city of Batman was plagued by crime, poverty, and honor suicides. The possibility of a big payout from the deep pockets of Bruce Wayne was too tempting for Mr. Kalkan. So he started looking for legal action. Mr. Kalkan claimed, "Batman belongs to us. There is only one Batman in the world. The American producers used the name of our city without informing us." The mayor then suggested that the success of the Dark Knight movie had a severely negative psychological impact on the city's inhabitants. As a result, the film was to blame for a number of unsolved murders and the high female suicide rate. And with these claims, he promptly sued Christopher Nolan for royalties. Not Warner Brothers, not the film producers, not DC Comics, who held the rights to the IP of Batman, only the British chap who directed the film. As you probably guessed it by now, the lawsuit didn't go any further. Without any proper legal support, it fell flat. On a brighter note, this outlandish lawsuit did make headlines and helped attract tourists to the city. And what is Mr. Kalkan up to nowadays, you ask? According to my Batcomputer's research, in 2008 he was sentenced to a year in prison for promoting terrorism. But the European Court of Human Rights wasn't too convinced whether he was justly imprisoned. So take all of this with a grain of salt. Politics aside, I do think having Christopher Nolan's second biggest enemy, the first being the people who gave Tenet negative reviews, in jail plotting his revenge against the director makes for a much more amusing ending to this whole lawsuit. So yeah, that's it. That's the end of the video.
Son, this was neat and all, but none of what you just rambled on for the last half hour has anything to do with your case. With that said, in the case of the state of Texas versus Not Another Niche Show, I find the defendant guilty.
Bye-bye.